Okay, so I'm a fantasy junkie, and when it was announced that Pixar was stepping into the world of fantasy with Onward, I was super excited to see where they were going to take the story. I know by now everyone is gushing about Pixar Soul, and deservedly so. I did my fair share of gushing right here on this channel. But I really want to talk about Onward. Since its theatrical release in March and then its Disney Plus launch not too long after that, I have watched this movie maybe 4 to 5 times, mainly because it is endlessly rewatchable. Whenever I want to have someone on and I can't decide quite what to watch, I end up flipping on Onward, and it always delivers in giving me a good laugh. Onward is set in a suburban fantasy world and follows 2 brothers on their quest to find the Phoenix Gem so they can see their dead father for one more day. It's a traditional quest movie, and the story beats are tight with every piece of dialogue important to the overall story. I was thoroughly impressed by the film's fast pace and comedic value. The world building was breathtaking here, and it was honestly fun to get another adventure movie out of Pixar that wasn't Brave. The reason I love Onward, though, isn't because of the world it's set in or the particular things that happen in regards to the plot. The reason I love this film so much are the characters. Ian and Barley, in my opinion, are some of the most likable protagonists in a Pixar film to date. And that's because these characters were highly relatable for me. I also love that, in a way, both Ian and Barley have character arcs in this film. While Ian is the protagonist because he is actionable and has a clear goal by the end of the film, we realize that both characters end up changing due to the events of the story. First, let's talk about Ian. Ian is a 16-year-old elf who hasn't quite figured out who he is yet. He is confident in himself and is trying to become the man he wants to be. While there are many ways to show the struggle before the plot kicks off, there are 2 scenes that I think are truly masterful and show Ian's internal struggles without him really even saying anything. The first thing is Ian wakes up on his birthday and has a notebook where he writes a list of things he wants to get done that day to help him grow. Throughout the day, we see him fail at these things, and when he gets back to the list, he crosses off the items. I love this because I do that all of the time. I often have a list of things that I need to accomplish that day, and it was a real visual way to get information across to the viewer, and it gives us insight into the type of character that Ian is. Along with that, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Ian is listening to an old recording of his dad talking. Ian listens through it once as he glances at pictures of him and then plays it back again and responds as if he was talking to his father. This scene does 2 major things. It, 1, establishes the stakes of the story. The scene shows us how impactful his dad's death was on Ian, so much so that he listened to his father's voice through this recording all the time when he is upset and needs that support. It shows us how important it is that Ian sees his father. The other thing it does is makes the audience extremely empathetic towards Ian. This is a very personal moment in which Ian is grieving in his own way, and through this moment we are invited to see him at his lowest point. After this scene, we are more attached to the character because we have seen him at his lowest. As the film progresses, we see Ian fueled by his need to see his father, and he ultimately grows as a character. Every obstacle and chance for him to use magic, he must confront a weak aspect of himself and overcome it. Through his brother coaching him in magic, he learns to stand up for himself, focus, and trust his instincts, all things he struggled with at the beginning of the film. The completion of Ian's character arc was truly gorgeous in my opinion, and it was another prime example of Pixar slapping me in the heart. At the end of the quest, when he is back home, Ian sits down, accepting defeat, and looks at his list. This is a recall from the last time he took out his list and started crossing things off. This time, instead of crossing things off, however, he thinks about it and realizes that he unintentionally completed everything on the list, not with his father, but with his brother, Barley. As a person who always has goals and often is so laser focused on reaching the next one, this reminded me that sometimes we can get so blinded on what we think we want. We don't even know what we truly need and what we already have. Ian put so much of his life into wanting to just spend one day with his dad, and he didn't realize his brother was right next to him his whole life, having fun with him, teaching him, and guiding him. I think this is such a great theme because the film urges us to open our eyes a bit more on our life to see if we already have what we say we want. This realization changes Ian's whole perception of his life to a certain extent. He appreciates his brother now more than ever, and instead of focusing on the loss of his father, he can now fully accept his own identity. Through the lessons he learned on the quest, he learns to be more confident, stand up for himself, and be more like Barley, who isn't afraid of anything. While there are many themes in the film in regards to the idea of adventure and Barley's character arc, which I will explore in other videos, I really just wanted to focus on Ian today. Sometimes we set out on quests wanting something, and we come back realizing that what we wanted, we had all along. I think that's also a big reason as to why the Phoenix Gem wasn't in the Great Unknown, but instead it was in their own hometown. It completed the idea of searching within ourselves and our surroundings to find what we think we need. So that's Pixar's Onward, and specifically Ian's character arc. I really enjoy this movie. What do you guys think of the movie, and where does it rank for you in regards to other Pixar films? Make sure you leave a like and subscribe for future videos talking about all things pop culture, life, and filmmaking. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and remember, adventure starts with you.